Welcome back. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the mission Advanced Manual Training. For this one we need to manual, nose manual, switch manual and fakie manual across this object in front of us. I think this is one quite a lot of people struggle with, but don't worry too much. I'm going to take it nice and easy and go step by step. So let's get to it. So I think one of the other things what really throws people off with this is the fact that you've got to ollie into it. But actually you don't technically need to do that. You can actually do it by starting the manual on the object and ending the manual before you roll off the end. However, this will only work for the 4 basic manuals. The manuals what need to be popped out of also need to be popped into. But I'm going to cover it in a bit more detail so you actually get a better idea of the fundamentals. But just remember, you can do that if you're really struggling. So the first thing I want to do is explain how you'd enter each type of manual, but like anything else, this will depend on your input mode and what stance you're in, but I will explain for both ways, so don't worry. If you're skating in the regular stance and using either of the input modes, or if you're skating in the goofy stance but using the front foot back foot input mode, you need to pull the right stick down about halfway to enter a manual. And to enter a nose manual, you need to push the left stick up, again, about halfway. And if you're skating in the goofy stance, but using the left foot right foot input mode, you need to pull the left stick down, about halfway to enter a manual. And to enter a nose manual, you need to push the right stick up, again, about halfway. When it comes to ollieing into a manual, it comes down to 2 things really. Being precise with the manual's input and releasing the controls between ollieing and applying the manual's input. I'll just show you a quick replay of that. So I'm just going to push nice and slow. Pop an ollie, release, manual. And I just release the inputs just before I roll off the edge. When it comes to doing a nose manual, we could just ollie into it. However, I find if you do a nollie into it, it's a bit easier to shift the weight onto the front trucks. For those who can't remember, to do a nollie, you need to push the front foot's input up and then pull the rear foot's input down whilst stood in your normal stance. We're going to take it nice and slow. I'm just going to push. Crouch in. Nollie release. Manual. And just release the inputs. So when it comes to entering a switch manual or fakie manual, we need to be in a switch stance to do it. And the quickest way to get into a switch stance is by double tapping the mount board button. If you're skating in the regular stance and using the left foot right foot input mode, to enter a switch manual you need to pull the left stick down, again about halfway. And to enter a fakie manual you need to push the right stick up, again about halfway. To enter a switch manual whilst you're skating in the goofy stance and using either of the input modes, or if you're skating in the regular stance but using the front foot back foot input mode, you need to pull the right stick down about halfway. And to enter a fakie manual you need to push the left stick up, again about halfway. So with the switch manual, like with a normal manual, I'm just going to roll up nice and slowly and pop a switch ollie before releasing the controls and then reapplying the input on the rear foot. Pop in, release, down, and then release. Just like with the nose manual, for fakie manual we're going to do a fakie ollie to help transfer the weight onto the front trucks. Just like with every other one though, I'm going to roll in nice and slow. Crouch, pop, release, down. and then release. When it comes to popping out of a manual, you use the same inputs as you would for whatever type of trick you want to do. The only thing is you start the input from the position the manual's already been held in. So take this ollie out of a normal manual. All I'm going to do is pull the rear foot's input the remaining distance down before applying the front foot's input. And this is no different if I was doing a nose manual. Instead, I'll just push the front foot's input all the way up before pulling the rear foot's input down. So again, I'm just going to take these two nice and slowly so you can see what I'm doing. Ollie, manual, and pop. So the only difference is where I'd have normally released the input for the manual, I'm now popping. And to do it with a nose manual, it's just the same thing. Ollie, manual, pop. With that, I'm going to leave it here and we'll pick up in the next video.